Okay. Okay, we are back, and we're talking about the Firemouth, the Rickthys Miki. So Firemouth, I think, is a pretty common species. Really hasn't been used in a ton of hybrids to date. We're going to go through what does Firemouth bring to the table. If I was to have Firemouth, kind of what route would I go down with it? Just the basics. We're going to go over the species. So one thing I want to show you really quick is that the website has officially a domain. So if you search up Benspedia, Pedia, on your search engine, mine automatically takes it to here because I've searched it so much. But if you do Benspedia, Ben's Hybrids, you can actually find my website now on search engines. So kind of was digging around with that. So let's go ahead and also organized my website a little bit more. So let's go down to Firemouth. So Firemouth, we've got Firemouth Convict, shape influenced by Firemouth right off the bat. I mean, a little bit shorter face, maybe, debatably. Back's tapered, color a little bit, way more color on this one, but it's technically like brown. Fins are nice here. Fins are even nicer here. Another Firemouth Convict. Shape, influence, color's not there. Fins, I don't mind the fins at all. Fins are nice here. Another Firemouth Convict, some purling. Shapes being influence heavy. So straight from the convict stuff. Convict's usually pretty overly dominant. So we're seeing that the Firemouth is at least pushing shape. Fins, nice win. Color in some of them. If I had to imagine why is this one like more brown, this one's like yellow, this one's brown. This one's probably closer to the black convict Nucrosophyta. This one's probably got some sequoia in the mix. This has probably got some sequoia in the mix. Different strains of convict, different species of it is going to have different effects, right? So let's go down. We've got Firemouth, Cutter Eye, Polar Blue, 50, 25, 25. Firemouth's adding some pearls to it. Shape's pretty cute. This one's got some nice color to it. This one's got the Firemouth shape to it. Face is being influenced by the Polar and the Cutter Eye. This one's super short body. Is literally insane. Which if you want to see more Polar Blue stuff, I don't know. There's going to be something somewhere to click on it. But these are all bred by my friend Kyle. These are all 50% Firemouth. I like these ones. I think these ones have a lot of potential as they color up. This one right here, if it was this color but this body, I think would be mint. I think it would be super clean. But we'll see. I mean, these still have a lot of growing to do. We got Firemouth Blood Parrot, which we know Blood Parrot is Amphilophus and Veha. So this is what we're seeing from this. I had to pick it apart. Let's get in there nitty gritty. Actually, can I? Let's pick this apart. Because I know a lot of people like Veha, I know a lot of people like Amph. Right off the bat, the face is obviously not nearly as Firemouth. Still there. But we can also attribute that to the Amphilophus. Base coloration, we got a little bit of red, pink here. A lot of dark bronze, brown. Stripes are having a hard time coming through. Nice, interesting purling on the fins. Fin structures themselves, really not that bad. The back does taper a little bit, not nearly as much as the Firemouth itself. So that could be attributed to the Amph or the Veha. But we are seeing a little bit of color here. And I do like these little dotted pearls. Enhance that a little bit. We might be somewhere. So, Firemouth to Elliot, which Elliot is another cousin to the Firemouth. So this is it'd be like Red Devil to Midas, basically, or Cynogatus to Carpentis. So this is what that produced. It's very similar shapes. The purling increases a little bit, but it decreases the color on the Macuplenus Elliot, and it decreases the color on the Firemouth. Do I think the F2 could possibly be better? Potentially. Am I proud of the F1? Not necessarily. I would rather have a pure Elliot or a pure Firemouth than either of these. Now we got the Firemouth Jaguar. I mean, I'm kind of biased because I bred them, but this, yeah, this is basically how they started out. They got their color, light pearling, which for like Jaguar mixes, this is a very low pearling mix, right? I would say for like Jaguar X Tech, like well, Texas obviously, Jaguar Veja has a lot better pearling than Jaguar Firemouth. Can I flip this? I don't think so. But I do like the fins on it. I do like this. I'm a big fan of the fins. One thing I really like about Firemouth is this trailer fin on their actual tail fin. And these can be pretty impressive too, but I really like this trait. If I was working with Firemouth, I'd be pulling this trait bad. Like I want that bad. Firemouth Jaguar was about 6.5 inches after about a year and a half. Really not that large if you compare it to some of the growth rates of Jaguar Veja that like reach 10 inches in a year. So size, it's there. I wasn't able to prove any of them fertile, but I only really tried like 4 or 5 times with one male. And that was back when I like kind of first got into breeding, so it was really not like the best circumstances. The back does taper. I don't think that technically takes away from this fish or this mix. So like if you're like, I really like square stuff, maybe Firemouth not the best for you. Maybe there's traits that you can pull off of it in lower percentages. But if you're like, I want more of a predatory look, I think Firemouth could be really interested in that facet. I do not like the color too much. I mean, the color's coming both from the Miki and the Parachromis Maniguins. The Jaguar cichlid does have a layer of like yellow skin underneath of it, and I think that's just being brought out with the Firemouth. But there is pearls there. I would have loved to see an F2 on this. Really cool thing is, so Firemouth cichlids, when they like get angry, they flare the things out, right? They got the flare, right? They got the big old frills. The Jaguars have it a little bit, like they'll kind of like go like this, but the Firemouths will go like almost full front, right? And it's super impressive. This thing got it closer to Firemouth than it did Jaguar, right? So like when it would like get really angry and frilled up, it would come out and it would shoot up. Like this under part where the Jaguar has it and it kind of like fills up, it would fill up, but the front part would come out more. Ooh, I loved it. And it was so like I would come up to the glass, I'd put my finger on it, and it would flip. You could hear it hitting the glass. It was a fun one, and it was only ever about like that big. So like, kind of a fun micro. What is it? Predator? Yeah. Jack Dempsey to Firemouth is like a very interesting mix of this stuff. Because you're seeing a lot of like deeper red. Like, yeah, the picture quality sucks. I wish it was better. But we are seeing a decent merge of shape here. Like it does have the Jack Dempsey shape. It also has the Firemouth shape, but we're seeing a lot of these small dot purling. A lot of the fins have pearls. I love the fin purling. I'm a big fan of fin purling. Like if the fish is like colorless and has like colorless fins, cool. Like bright colors. But like if it's a pearled fish, it doesn't have pearled fins. I'm like, you know, I like a good purling. And like this, if this was just, I wish I could block it out. I had tried to block it with my hand, but if this wasn't like pearl, I think it'd be a little bit uglier. But this is just so nice, such a nice fine detail to it. And then obviously the purling kind of like gets here and then starts sputtering out. But it is able to pass it on to the Jack Dempsey a little bit, which is interesting. But it also receives a ton more purling than the Jaguar. Which, why could that be? It could be the purling type. Jaguars maybe have a slightly different purling coating than the Jack Dempsey, than Texas, than, whatever. And so they're accepting this purling a little bit easier, similar to, like, since Jack Dempsey have, like, small dot pearls, this has small dot pearls, this kind of has small dot pearls. Maybe the coating is more similar. Maybe. That would need, like, genetic testing done. But we can see that the Jack Dempsey is more pearl, like, the Firemouth is more pearl receptive to the Jack Dempsey, whereas the Firemouth, it does have pearls there. It's just not very vibrant. I think is the word I'm looking for. So the next one after that is just Firemouth Polar Blue. So this would be, instead of getting the cutter eye in the mix up here, this is 50, 25, 25. This would be 50, 50, right? We've got some cute. This got the flaring, the flare. I Love Firemouth Flare. Oh, let me see if I can find a photo. Because I don't know if everybody knows about it. Like, this trait right here, I am a super fan of. Let's see. Just look at that. Like, if we're just talking about the species itself, does it have a ton of color? No, it's got the red throat, and obviously we're not seeing that really pass on anything. It does have some pearling. It does have some pearling genetics. The fins are sweet, and they do seem to pass on to the fry. And then this gill, this behavior of flaring out their gill to seem bigger or to seem more impressive. I love that. That's an awesome behavior. Obviously, this polar firemouth got it. This one got it. Ooh, I freaking love that. It's so impressive, and especially when you see it in person. Like my firemouth jaguar, when I had it, it was just such a beast. Firemouth Salvini, lots of Salvini influence. It did try to fight it in the face, but the Salvini won. I would have loved to see an adult photo of this, especially with how the lighting's coming in from the background. It's really washing it out. But not like the worst thing. Firemouth Texas, and this is just going to be Texas as in Texas Mutt because I didn't have any history on Cyanogatus or Carpintis. If I had to imagine, I would imagine this be a Cyanogatus, more heavy mix, probably bred to a Firemouth, and that's why we got this. Now, obviously, for this mix, we're getting a ton of dot pearls all over the cheeks, all over the body. It doesn't really stop halfway like the Jack Dempsey does. And then the fins are obviously filled out, maybe not as impressive, and it does seem to taper down pretty fast. So, shape, it does pretty well with predatory shapes, but with like bigger, rounder shapes, technically not the best. It shows up here that it is technically a little color receptive if the color's super dominant. This one tried to influence some color. This one tried to influence some color. This one's got color. So you're not just working with straight gray hybrids. And then it's got the flare, right? We love the flare. I love the flare. I love the fins. If I was going to work with Firemouth, there'd be two routes I would take it. I would take it on a predatory route and a color route, right? So let's kind of just think, if this is Jaguar Firemouth, and let's just start it off here because, I love Jaguar Firemouth. I made it. It's one of my first hybrids. People told me it was going to be bad. I really enjoyed how it turned out. Maybe it's not perfect. I mean, it is only F1, but I did really enjoy how it turned out. How would I go about making a better Firemouth hybrid with more of the information I know now? First, I would probably, so just looking at it, it did take away some of the Jaguar yellow skin. So I'd probably go with something yellow. Let's say, I'm saying Locellii, which is now Fredestilla technically. But the reason I'm going to go with Locellii over Fredestilla is the pearling that is on Locellii. Because of how it interacted with the pearling that was on Jack Dempsey and Texas, and I more so kind of connect this pearling with those. Why is it so ugly? I mean, I need a good photo so I can like compare it and we could talk about it, right? So this is Parachromis Locellii. I need one good clean photo. That'd be a good one. Okay, copy, delete, paste. Here we go. There we go. There we go. So, okay. We've got Firemouth Jaguar, and we've got Locellii. I do think this Perlin's going to possibly be better. Now, is it going to be guaranteed? Definitely not. And so that's going to be critiquing my route of a breeding a little bit. So, I would probably do something like Firemouth. Is that 14? Okay, let's scroll back in. Let's say I do Firemouth X Parachromis. because, you know, you don't have to use Locelia. You could do Red Tiger Moda or Predatory Multifaceta. You could even try to do Dovii. I'm not going to say do it. I'm not going to say not do it. I think if I was going to run either of them, it would be Locelia, RTM, or Predastilla, Jaguar, Dovii, RTM, and then Dovii at the very bottom. I don't know. Something about Dovii and crosses is not always the best. So Parachromis to Firemouth is going to give me a shape similar to this. With working with some of the other colors, I might get a better colored female, I might get a better colored male, and then obviously different pearl structures. So with F1, I would probably want to do F1 to F1 for realignment, but because I was able to prove my male, I'm not going to be able to say that they're fertile, so we're going to take a little bit of a different route on this. I'm going to say I would probably do male Firemouth to female Locelii, F1 to F1, then back to Parachromis. It doesn't have to be Locelii. You could do like F1 to RTM, then F1 female to Locelii, or start playing with it a little bit. I would probably do F1 X para for Parachromis. This is going to give me F2, which is going to be 75, 25. And you're like, oh, it's super heavy Parachromis now. It looks like a semi-mini Parachromis mix, right? The fins are there, the purling starts coming back, the shape starts coming back. I would then take it back to Firemouth. So it's then F2 X Miki, which is Firemouth. And that gives me F3. F3 is 62.5% Firemouth, and it is 37.5% Parachromis. This mix alone might be good enough to stand. You might be able to be like, okay, this is the peak generation. So this gives you two options with F3. You could do F3 X Para, any para mixes you want. If it's Para Veja, Para Texas, Para Quad Parachromis, Tri Parachromis, you got like all these different Parachromis hybrids, and you're like, I want to use them into this. This would be the generation to use it in, because you already have a 37.5% Parachromis base in it and a 62.5% Firemouth base in it, which should be affecting the size and the shape. And the reason I say size is because it would be technically a little bit smaller from the Firemouth versus full Parachromis blood. So then you get your F4. It is now 37 divided by 2 is 18.75 plus 50, so it's 68.75% Parachromis, and it's only 31.25% Firemouth. I would basically then take it back to Firemouth, so F3 X F4. This is going to get it closer to 50-50, which let's just do it real quick. We got 31.25 plus 62.5 divided by 2. So, is that technically correct? Let me double check my math on this. 31.25 plus 62.5 divided by 2. I guess so. Let's double, triple check, because now we can do the other side, and as long as these both equal 100, it means I did it right. So now we're going to do 37.5 plus, let's go ahead and get those parentheses started first. 37.5 plus 31, no, it's 68. 68.75, all divided by 2, gives me 53, and that does look like it's going to equals the sum of this and that. Enter. 100%. So, yep. This would be your F5. You could always take F5 back to F3 again and get more of a Firemouth look. This generation should be pretty clean, pretty cute. And then you can always then, go back. You're like, I want to take F5 to the para, then take the F6 back to the F5, then the F7 back to para. And you're going to have like this three-peat loop. And that's good, cute. I mean, that's a cute mix. I mean, Firemouth Jag and F1 looks cute. push it a little bit, you might have something cool, and you get like flaring out in those generations, and you select enough, you get these fins on that. That could be a awesome little predator. I mean, when I say it would hit the glass, it was in a 40-gallon. It was in this 40-gallon, and I would come up and I'd touch the glass. It was just it and a Catamico Fenestratus. And I would touch the glass and it would fly up and hit it, like, and you could hear it popping. It was a beast. So like, this would be definitely a high aggression fish, interactive fish, smart fish. But if you bred it right, it would also be a show fish, right? So that would be my first mix for like a predatory Firemouth. My next goal with Firemouth would be almost a vibrant, colorful Firemouth. Like if I wanted to be like, let's say two-tone. I want it two-tone. And this is when I'm going to bring back my Biffa. Right? Because I can't get enough. And this honestly is going to be like complete theory crafting on it, because this has never been done. Veha to Firemouth, the closest we got was the Blood Parrot. So this is going to be complete theory crafting on this. So let's pull this up here. Scooch this bad boy over. Look at him. And then I think I want to go ahead and grab this photo while I'm at it and bring it over just so we can talk about them. Because I think having them side by side definitely lets us kind of compare traits that we want and don't want. If we were to get the color palette on the left, move to the right, even if you weren't going for a super showy fish, you could technically move the hardcock over. So if that was a little bit harder, that would technically come out like this. You'd have a little bit of a beak. If you selected right, you might not have much of a beak, so you might have a fish kind of like this. You selected the back might come out a little bit more, be a little bit almost like a Minatory, predatory-ish Veha. And then if you bred it to where the colors came in there, if it was like slashed like this, I mean, if this and this work out well together, you might have like a little black blob right here. The color comes back, you get red to come up from here, up and back, and then this all back here is all bright yellow. I think could be amazing. Biffa do have some pearl structure, so you might get some pearling on there, and if you select it properly, you might end up getting these fins on there as well. And you can see that the color does come up here in the fins on these, and the fin color here does have a light red tint to it. Yellow and the red on genetic-wise. Yellow and red are found on the same spot. It's the same gene. It's just whether or not they have plus or minus of a certain pigmentation. So if you have yellow, you can technically turn it to red, and if you have red, you can turn it to yellow. So because these are like a light red tint and this is a yellow, these might be yellow, these might be orange, they might be red. So that would be a really cool thing to increase the pigmentation on that to be a brighter fin structure as well. So how would I go about doing this one? This one's a little bit more complicated because you're trying, so instead of doing like structures, like pearl structures and shape, and these kind of mesh really easily together, you're trying to pull the color scheme and the color palette of this onto the other fish, right? So I'd probably do Biffa to... Okay, first off, we're going to adjust all of that. So I'm going to do Biffa X Firemouth. I'm going to write it Miki because I don't feel like typing out Firemouth. That gives me F1. F1 is 50-50, right? For this mix, I don't know what I want to do. Technically, I'll probably suggest breeding F1 back to Firemouth. Miki. This will give you an F2 that is 75-25. I'd probably suggest doing F1 X Biffa as well. And why would I suggest that? Why would I do it this way? F2, this is 25, 75. What the? Okay. First off, 25. So 75% Firemouth on the top, 25% Firemouth on the bottom, 25% Biff on the top, 75% on the bottom. What is this allowing me to choose and select? F2 that leans Firemouth should allow me to find more of the Firemouth shape, the Firemouth fins, and a dominant male with the expressive traits I want. If I'm after fins, I'm after color, and I'm after shape, I'm probably going to choose the best male that has the flare out, the best fins, and the best shape. And then for F2, for the Biffa side of things, I'm looking for the best coloration. So with this, I'd probably look for the best female. Now, obviously, the female, technically, the Biffa is going to be a larger size. The F2 females are technically going to be able to get larger than the F2 Firemouth side in the long run. But if you hit the Firemouth side first and then you hit the Biffa side second, with a 2 to 3 month interval between it, you're honestly fine for size differences. You're going to be perfectly fine there. So then I'd probably do F2 to F2. F2 Miki side X F2 Biffa side. This is going to give me F3, which is going to go back to 50-50. Now you're like, that's a lot of work to go back to where you're at. Kind of. This is going to give me a better color base, a better shape base than the original F1s, because I then have selected the best traits I want for the Firemouth, the best traits I wanted from the Biffa and the F1s. I then used those F1s back to the original species. I then selected the best of those best, and I bred them together. And this should realign the color traits on both sides, should align the shape traits on both sides. This is what's going to give you that kind of more perfect F1 that you want for mixing. So now that you're at 50-50, you could start playing with this, because this should have a decent color. This will have better color. You could technically breed it F3 back to your F2s, and then breed your F4s together. But let's say for the case of it, let's say the color turned out really good and you need more of the shape. Nah. We aren't playing that. I'm just going to play the reality. You're going to want to do F3X F2 and F3X F2. This is going to give you, what is it, equal to 75. What is it? $62.5. So it's going to be 60. If it's 62.5, then it's 37. Okay, so 37.5% Firemouth on the bottom, and it's 62.5% Biffa on the top. And then for this, it's going to be 62.5% Firemouth on the top, and 37.5% Miki or Biffa on the top. Then you breed these are F4s, right? F4, F4. Breed them together. Oh my god, I'm having a stroke. I'm going to give you your F5. Your F5 is going to be 50-50 again. Which I think is just really funny. And then with your F5, you're like, I want to add other Thoricus to it. I want to add Parachromas to it. I want to add other Vehas to it. Like, I love the shape of this one. I want to shoot this direction. With F5, you can easily do any X. And then breed your new F1 to your F5. Oh, my lord. And then you just breed your F5 from your established line to your new F1, and you select traits, and you go from there. Then you get your F2, and so on, and you establish your own line. So this would be more so for color looping, and this would be more so for like shape and kind of a predatory loop. Both loops are, you could technically do this loop for this side, and you could technically do this loop for that side, but it's just splitting hairs. I think Firemouth is a very underrated cichlid. Very common, obviously. I think anybody could get them, but definitely slept on, and I think a lot more could be done with them, especially that and the fins. What other cichlids do you see fins like that on? Very, very beautiful. Again, if you guys are looking to subscribe, please, please. It does help me out, especially as more time goes on. If you are looking for my website, you can now find that at Benspedia online. Pedia is just short for encyclopedia. If you happen to need to get a hold of me for whatever reason, you can always come down here and you can click on contact. This is going to allow you to follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube, and follow me on Facebook, or request to be friends, whatever. If you then have to ask me any questions or something directly, you can always send me an email or ask me directly with that form, or send me a text. I'm usually better at Messenger. I'm usually better at responding on comments on YouTube videos. I'm better at responding on comments on Instagram. Try to keep my eye open on the message requests. So if you guys have anything to ask or you want to see a video on something, comment, subscribe, and let me know.